Greetings, greetings, greetings. It's Jamal Teray in the house. And what's going on is that we have two guests who will be joining us. Maybe some delays with regards to them, but run tell that. We don't sweat that at run tell that. We're going to still go forward. And it opens the door up for some other things what's going on. And the two guests that we have are two sisters who are right here in the area in South Carolina and Georgia who are making things happen with regards to leadership. And what I was going to share about them, about Councilwoman Bridgette Frazier out of Bluffton, Councilwoman in Bluffton, South Carolina. And then my family, my cousin, Faquita Aikens-Rivera, that with regards to her people, South Carolina, also Hilton Head Island, our people, I should say, our people, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. And with regards to these two sisters in particular, these two sisters have been involved in, their families have been involved in activism for three generations. That's why at least I know at least three generations of them because they represent the third generation, which again, the children and the younger members of the family are doing things right now also. So I want to go and acknowledge that to go and let people understand that for some of us, activism is not anything new. Some of us tend to think that when you see some of us out there doing the work and we're spitting it out, we're sharing the information, you think that this is the first time that has happened, like saying, no, I'm letting people understand clearly that no, this is not the first time. Because what has happened is that it has been embedded in us. It is in our blood, it is in our bones, it is in our skeletal being. It's in all of who we are. So it's nothing new. And that it is crucial that we have our young people being groomed for that. It is crucial that they are groomed for that. Yes, agreed with my sister, my cousin. Bam, my cousin in the house, Vanessa Taylor in the house. Because again, it's the South Carolina side tonight, Vanessa. That we're gonna throw that out there. And brother Bernard Brown in the house. You know, guess what? America After Dark is coming up, and we're gonna have brother Bernard on the show coming up. Yes, brother Walter White, right? Our brother giving the greetings. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad to have you. I'm not glad to have you here today on this night, this evening. Terry Bobley checking in. So until they come, and if they don't come, this opens the door for me to have another conversation about some things that, again, I think, oh, 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 my cousin in the house.
You know
So
you
now
a mess.
I got deprived a little bit right now because I was about to roll. I was about to throw some fire out there on people, but guess what? Because my cousin in the house, I gotta try to chill a little bit. I gotta chill a little bit. Yeah, Sharon Gomez in the house. So, what's going on here? What I had shared with the folks that you see my cousin, Faquita Aiken-Rivera. You see her. She is like a baby. She's a baby in the revolution. But now some people are gonna say, nah, she's not no baby. She's a grown woman. That's right. She got grown term. Yes, I understand that. But I'm just saying because I'm a baby also.
Yes.
That as I share with them, that I know of, and it probably is even longer, that I know at least there are three generations of our family that have been involved in activism, and you like that. Why I say you're part of that. You carrying on that legacy, and
Woo.
that's why I'm so happy that to let y'all know that her family is the reason why many people in Hilton Head got educated. I'm gonna put
Come
it
on
out there.
now.
I'm put it. Some people don't realize that y'all can talk about other people, but on Hilton Head Island, it's her family that provided the school for my mom and them to go to school initially. That oh and let me go and throw this out here. See, some of y'all think y'all know
Tell the
about
truth
coastal
now.
history, huh?
Tell the truth.
Oh, hey, I'm like saying, yo, that the school and even the praise house, because the school, it was, excuse me, the praise house was also the school. And my mama talked about how they walk across the street, to the praise house and walk across the street to the school. And how she had to watch the kids sometime, and then my Uncle Frank had to watch it. But it's her family, her mama them side, that they're the reason why people in Hilton Head and Squire Pope could be educated. Yo, that's powerful. And I'm gonna say that's the legacy of the family.
Yes,
So
it
I
is.
gotta introduce y'all again to my cousin, businesswoman, activist, worker for our people, Faquita Aiken-Rivera. Bam. I'm gonna let you just go ahead and throw it out there to the people. Then we're gonna flow into some conversation.
Yes. Hey, y'all. I am so excited about being on this show. He got on his plaid jacket today for his cousin. You look nice, cousin.
Thank you. So
Y'all,
do you.
yes, he's telling the truth. He's telling the truth. It started back. My grandmother was a cook at the school, and she made sure those kids ate. And it was called the Old Courthouse Annex at that time. I mean, I pretty much grew up in that yard, but she cooked, and those kids ate well. And that just kind of, comfort their stomachs and make them go home and get their homework done. So yeah, he
Ah,
contributed to a lot of people being educated, because you can't get an education on an empty stomach. But she made sure they ate. My grandmother, Miss Alberta Drayton Perry Patterson. I'm sure she fed you too, cuz.
oh, okay, yeah, Hilton Head Elementary, yeah, Hilton Head
Yeah,
Elementary, yes, yeah,
you
okay,
probably
yeah,
had
Hilton
some
Head
biscuits
Elementary.
with gravy and everything. So it goes way back. You're right. Further than probably 3 generations, probably 4 or 5 generations. And I am a baby, you know. When my mama was out there and going to those meetings, and she said, come on, go, I got these babies to take care of. So of course I didn't start till recently, but it's embedded in me. It's in the blood, it's in the genes. you know you can't go no other route because of the family lineage.
Absolutely, absolutely, and now when you saying that, you made me go and think back. I'm like, actually, in y'all side, that is the fourth generation because again, the praise house, because that's even before Hilton Head Elementary and the courthouse annex school. So I'm like, wow. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm going to say. That's that powerful stuff. That again, it's about us celebrating who we are and with regards to again, and again with Pebby, a great star, one of the great leaders for us who made sure to let people understand about maintaining the culture. So she would hit me with the Hilton Head Gun celebration. She was like, go ahead, boy, make sure you tell the people who they are. And so that's what happened. They're right there in the mix. And so again, and that's why when I see my sister, my cousin, my little cousin, see you doing the work, and I'm like, yo, that's your mama though. That's your grandmama. That's right. That's it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why is that important with regards to that? Why is that important?
Well, if I lay down and go to sleep on it, you know how they say she turning over in her grave, and I do not want my mama turning over in her grave. So I got to keep it moving. I have to keep it moving so my kids can see me moving, and then they pick up the torch when I'm resting. So it is very important to keep moving in the community, regardless. It's going to be result driven if you're working. If you ain't working, you're not getting no results. You're going to have all that talk, but no work. And I'm the type of person, cousin, I don't like to meet so much. I know we're going to have a scheduled meeting one time, but after that meeting, I need to do point one, two, three, and four to get it moving. You know what I mean? So if I didn't pick up this fire that was burning from her and from my grandmother and my great grandmother, and I can't leave out the Aikens because my great grandfather have helped deliver lots of babies in Hilton Head. Don't fall out. Don't fall out. He was known as a medicine man. We ain't gonna go that side yet. I'm gonna stay on the
We gonna
maternal
talk.
side.
I'm gonna bring. We're gonna bring that up. That's why I'm like, see, you because you just went ahead and jumped it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
Oh,
right on. Go right on. Go on, Mr. Brinky. That's right.
that's Mr. Branky. That's his, AKA Mr. Branky, William Aikens Sr. And he birthed probably your grandmother. I know he birthed your mother. That thing we call epidural, it wasn't none of that. It was medicine man by Mr. Branky Aiken himself, who comfort those women while they were having baby and having cramps in their animals. The animals that we had, he took care of them horses. I know you heard the story about the horses that had the swollen tongue. People would put those horses to sleep, but he brought those tongues back to normalcy for the horses. So it go way back, cuz. And I can't sit
And
down. I mean, I'm not even in. I was trying to get in the quiet place. Remember, I said I'm gonna get in the quiet place. I can't get in the quiet places. I'm always on the move.
ah
Always on the
ah
move. Always on
yeah.
the move.
and 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 that's powerful. Now I'm gonna throw it out there to you all who are listening again to the Run Tell That Family, the ATR family, because ATR has some great shows coming up. And like we said, America After Dark, we're gonna be doing Black History also with Air Scott, in addition to the other shows that are going on. And the Rapper comes on the Watchdog. But when my cousin talked about her grandfather, Mr. Brinky was the medicine man, but Mr. Brinky also served as a veterinarian, that he
Yes,
took care of the people and also the animals, because that's a part of the genius that we had. That's what we had to do when we're in our own communities. We had people that were multi-talented, multifaceted. We did not just compartmentalize in one thing. That was not how we operate. Today, some of us, we are told we only need to do one thing. I tell folks, no, it's not. We do several things, and that's a part of our genius. That's a
that's
part
a
of our
part.
greatness. And so
Yes,
that's why when you brought up, I'm going to acknowledge Mr. Brinky, because Mr. Brinky is the reason why, again, Hilton Head is the way that it is right now. He's a part of the foundation, but people don't talk about it. People don't acknowledge it. I'm letting folks know that's a part of who we are. And
yes.
so, with regards to you in particular, I'm going to say this as an African American woman. What do you see your role as leadership? What is your role as a leader with regards to, because we are told often that women need to sit back in the background, not be heard. They need to just chill. They can do it inside the house, and we can make those comments, but when they go out into the world, that they're supposed to be quiet. What's your perspective on that?
You see you see these glasses right here. You see them off my eyes. You remember my mama, my mother. I'm her child, and I am not going to be quiet. I'm gonna say my piece. And it's not in any disrespect to anyone, because I will tell the elders I respect them, but if the spirit give me something to say, I have to be obedient to say it. Man, woman, boy, girl, and I'm a woman now, but I
Mm,
saw my mother as a young lady. I was a young lady watching my mother sit at the table with all males most of the time and have her speak. She spoke, She had her piece. If they didn't do what she requested or suggested, she may have done it on her own. So, looking down at you in these glasses and the folks watching me, being a woman is not going to stop anything, because in this season it takes all voices. All voices need to be heard. All feet need to be moving. And I got 2 feet and I'm going to move these feet regardless. Yeah, I got a little hair on my head and some earrings in my hair, but I am going to move these feet to make it happen. And my love is for the youth, because I want to make sure these children have what it needs to keep moving forward, and especially our culture.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
Because, and I throw it out there, throw this, let people be clear about some things that, for us, and I guess I'm going to just say this, for us, those of us who are from Hilton Head Island, who are from Southern South Carolina, that we are known to have Black women who have voices, Black women that let it be known. And then see now, as I'm saying, Black women who have voices and Black women let it be known. Here go our councilwoman coming in. Our councilwoman, my sister, my Sarah, Bridgette Frazier. And again, I had said something earlier, but I'm going to repeat that when you see my cousin, you see my Sarah, you see my sister, it has been, and I realized at first I said 3 generations. They represent 3 generations of activism. Actually, I had to go back and modify. I said no, at least 4 generations of activism. I had to go. I'm not going to get into no personal business right now about let's say like Arthur Frazier. Arthur Frazier about my sister. Arthur Frazier. I'm just asking. Arthur Frazier. Who is your relative? Arthur Frazier tossed at me one day when I was on Hilton Head doing some things, and then I had to go to Bluffton to do something. Arthur Frazier said, "Whose son are you?" I said, "I'm Evelyn's son." And so when I'm telling him Evelyn's son, then he said, "Your Aunt Lucia was my girlfriend." So I'm like, I said, so that's why we always stop by Danny Frazier's store in Bluffton. Now, again, people from Savannah, you not understand. Oh, you might not realize. Some of y'all might not realize, because when you left from Savannah, where did you stop at to get gas many times? You went to a Black-owned gas station owned by the Fraziers, right there in Bluffton. Bluffton was a speed trap, and guess what? Our councilwoman is all tied to that legacy, and then even representing the town of Bluffton right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be free for a second and let our councilman go and give some words, and then we're going to be flowing back into this thing with regards to what I have experienced with Black women out of Southern South Carolina.
All right, now, can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, everyone. Apologies on my tardiness. This pollen has gotten me. My sinuses are just doing whatever they want to do. But thank you for the invite to be on here, Brother Torrey. I appreciate all you're doing as well in your activism and your community engagement. We definitely need it now more than ever. But in Bluffton, in my role, I am a councilwoman here and president of the Bluffton MLK committee. And there's so much work to be done. And just like you, from an early age, I was volunteering with Bluffton MLK and getting involved in different things. And I moved away and came back to Bluffton, realizing that I was needed there more than where my college degree had took me. And that's something that we need from our young people is to go and get skills and get talents and gain experience, but bring it back to your own community. Because those who were doing the work and toiling need us to be able to carry it on and keep things going. Because we're all in areas and spaces where our culture is, becoming, more and more erased every day. So for me, that's always fueled my activism and my need to be back, is because I don't want our culture to become vanish or obsolete around here, and definitely don't want my people to feel that their voices are being forgotten, because someone has to speak up for them. And so that's why I started doing the work that I do now as an adult with the Bluffton MLK, and even on council, addressing issues like, affordable housing, or how we're being policed in our own community, and making sure that there's equity around the board, because a lot of people feel we've arrived or there's no need to do those things, but it's like, that's so far from the truth. We can't be a place in the area where everyone else around us and those coming in are afforded so many opportunities, but the native people, so integral to the area, are feeling like, they've been completely forgotten. And so I wanted to make sure that in the small role that I'm playing, that I'm able to give them that type of voice, and give them the type of a platform that they need.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And just as you were coming on, I want the folks who are listening and understand something. It is foreign to me, and I'm going to say again, it is foreign to me with regards to my background, about my family, about the place that I grew up in, that is in Hilton, on Hilton Head, and in Savannah. It has been foreign to me to deal with this concept about how women are not necessarily supposed to be vocal and to be leaders. It is foreign to me because where I come from, I have always seen strong black women. When I'm saying strong black women, I'm not talking about black women just because that they hold up the family, that they work and things. I'm talking about strong black women who are stellar with regard to being leaders. That's where I come from. That for me as a man, it has never been fearful of me to be around a strong black woman with regard to her opinion and her leadership, and I understand how they accept her being a leader. There's no issue with that. That's why I say it is a foreign concept for some of us with regards to that. We understand about showing the respect and the honor, so we know that women can lead. And that comes to a principle that, again, that we want to say that if a society is an elevated society, if the women are elevated. And
That's
so
right.
that's why we have you all here, because you all, what I have witnessed is being those elevated leaders. Because right now, to let you all know who are listening, the Bluffton Hilton Head MLK Observance Committee, they have been doing things locally in Southern South Carolina that has had an impact. And I want y'all to talk about that. And again, something that I got involved in and did last June. Didn't think much of it when y'all had the event in Bluffton and on Hilton Head. And Galen is not here. If Galen is here, we can talk about different generation. But then the work that y'all been doing. Y'all been doing tremendous work, and I want people to know about the work that y'all doing. So whenever y'all see Bluffton, Hilton Head, MLK observers, y'all need to be a part of it, and they are doing it with no fear.
That's right. I don't know if my sister mentioned her mom, but when you talk about strong black women, Veronica Miller is a pillar. Yeah. And I remember when she passed, and the Island Packet, even had to take notice that this was they called her a silent giant.
Yeah.
This was a
Yes.
woman that was wielding her voice and power to hold, elected officials accountable, to say, hey, the Gullah natives of Hilton Head, we were here before everybody else. Why are we still fighting for sewer? Why are we still fighting for the right to be seen and be visible in this area? And she was the kind of leader where she didn't have to be out bragging or be seen to be noticed, but she knew the work needed to be done, and she was gonna do it. It wasn't fearful to use her voice or her platform to elevate other people. So women like Faquita's mom have always been a constant inspiration for me, and she was such an encouraging voice, and seeing what we were doing. She was a very strong advocate of the Bluffton and Hilton Head MLK committees, and just to share what we were doing. We started during the pandemic last year. We saw that Black businesses were not getting the type of financial help and things that they needed during that time. You know, a lot of other businesses of our counterparts, you know, people could come and purchase gift certificates, or they could come and, you know, inject cash infusions into their brick and mortars. But I was like, but you know, if no one provides an outlet for, you know, native business owners, you know, what's going to happen to them? And we started the Gullah Market, and you know, ever since then, it's such a blessing to our native business owners, because you know it's introduced them to the clientele that they ordinarily wouldn't have been introduced to, and it's allowed them to keep a constant stream of revenue to be able to support their businesses, because we recognize that we want everybody to have a seat at the table. We don't want it to just be one type of business owner. You know, we believe it's enough space for everyone. We use that same leverage, you know, in my role to work with our local politicians, because one of the things we struggle with are our land tax. And so, you know, I reached out back in August of last year, because I was like, you know, when this pandemic was hitting, I was like, that's my biggest concern is, you know, what about our folks who've lost jobs, who don't have access right now to money, and won't be able to pay their taxes? You know, I think something needs to be put in place to where they're not penalized for that. And I started to bring that up in our council meetings actually in March of last year. But I reached out in August to our representative Herb Kurzman in Weston Newton, who are our representatives at the state level, and voiced that with them. And they were like, you know what? That's something that, you know, is important to us too. You know, we'll reach out, see what we can do. And they were able to pass this bill. They had to attach it to a car tax sale, but they were able to pass the bill to where there was an additional year extended from the 2019 taxes for people to be able to redeem their land, and not have their land go up for you know, for sale. So those people actually had 2 years of a reprieve to be able to wait to pay their taxes, and it gave them extension for the one last year. So it's things like that, you know, that we're using our networks and connections to be able to say, hey, you know, our people need the help. They're struggling. You know, we want to be able to be a voice for them. And that didn't just help native property owners, you know, a lot of counterparts from other races too, who reached out and were able to benefit, you know, from that. And that's what it's about. You know, we just want to be able to step in where we see some inequities, and give a voice to those who can benefit from it.
Yes.
And my cousin, go ahead and share your observation, your thoughts, and accomplishment of the Bluffton Hilton Head MLK Observance Committee, the work that y'all been doing. Again, great work, tremendous work.
Yes, yes. So, you know, with the Hilton Head MLK, and we all work together because we're the same face. You know, it's Hilton Head and Bluffton MLK. And on the Hilton Head side, they delivered hundreds of internet modem for the students while they were out doing COVID. You know, just like the impact, you know, the financial impact with parents and their jobs, that at least was a stress reliever from parents to not worry about how the kids were going to get on the internet while we were all at home during the COVID and, you know, the pandemic process. So they were able to get funding and process that and get each school, from elementary to high school, boxes from Verizon, sponsored by Verizon, so those students could get on and still be able to, you know, communicate with their teachers. It was a process, you know, because we do have the ESOL community, the Spanish speaking community, so it benefit, like Bridgette said, all races. It just didn't benefit our community. When we talk about the Gullah people, it benefited the community as a whole. So they were hit the ground running. That underground work was very beneficial. And I thank you, Bridgette, for remembering about the silent giant, because we had just started talking about that. He was talking about, you know, Black women and their voice. And I said, no, no, not my mama. She didn't care. She was the only woman at the round table. She was going to
Mm-hmm.
their point across. She was very respectful about it. And that was that, you know. And she moved those little feet. She was a mover and a groover and a shaker and a maker. She made sure things got taken care of. So thank you for that word, because silent giant she was, and she did not. She never got an award or an applause, and it didn't matter to her. And what mattered to her was the accomplishment, the fact that her people were going to be served fairly. You know, there wasn't going to be no injustice while she was here.
Right.
And that's the role that I believe that Bridgette and I play as females. I'm more quiet than Bridgette. We piggyback a lot with each other, but I'm my mother's child. I'm more behind the scenes, but as far as working together and collaborating, hey, my grandmother used to say, you catch more bees with the honey. If you don't have the honey, the bees just gonna swarm around you. So I'm trying to push through and follow suit in her footsteps. Them shoes big though.
Oh yeah.
Fill them shoes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And it's the continuation, and that's the wonderful thing. Because I tell folks, I said, listen, I don't know about womanism. I don't know about feminism. I know about black women being leaders and black women standing up. That's why I tell folks, I say, I guess our pocket of the world is unique in the sense because we've had those stalwarts, and that it is manifested that you don't have to have a son to carry on the legacy. You can have a daughter carry on the legacy also, and that has happened. That we see
Yes.
daughters carrying on the legacy, and that's powerful. And I'm gonna say that's who we are. Until we let our minds be infiltrated or be polluted by or poisoned by this other worldly stuff, when we like saying, no, you know where you come from, you know what time it is. And I gotta throw this out there, at least to our councilwoman. There was somebody that preceded you with regards to being involved in politics in the family, and if you could share something about that person, I think that's important. That goes right to what I was saying.
Oh, absolutely. That was my father, who's been a constant source of inspiration, in my life. And it's no surprise my father and Faquita's mom were very close in terms of their friendship, their rapport, and their desire to shape their community. But my father, the late Oscar James Frazier Sr., was the mayor pro tem here in Bluffton, and was the town's poet laureate. But he was active, with the Bluffton MLK committee as well, and was responsible for helping to do things like annex, majority black neighborhoods like Simmonsville and Buck Island into the town, to be able to get the representation and stuff from the town. He established different committees and stuff like that. The public safety committee and different commissions. And he was a true public servant, in a sense of he wanted to use his voice to be able to elevate and uplift people. And he used every opportunity that he had to enlighten and encourage people, in regardless of what they were doing. And I have people who still come up to me to this day, and who will share how much of an inspiration he was to them, in a sense of the philosophy that he had. He believed that you treat the person in the boardroom the same way you do the person cleaning the boardroom.
Yes.
And even as a high-ranking official in the town, he kept that same mentality. And I think that's a lot of what we have missing today. People pick and choose who to give respect to, and that's not, how it operates. When you work in that capacity, you have a responsibility to serve, to elevate, to uplift everybody. You're supposed to bring everybody along. And so for me growing up and seeing him act and operate the way he did, it definitely fueled my desire to do the same thing. I went on South Carolina State. Well, even here, went to Hilton High School with some of that. People recall how it was going on with one of our administrators. I didn't get all the details, but one of our black administrators was out for quite some time. And someone was like, no, they fired Miss Cunningham. And I was like, what? Fired Miss Cunningham? I was like, oh no, we're gonna do a protest. I was like, come Monday, and everybody be black. I'm gonna get some aunts, we're gonna make some red rice music stuff. And I'm like a junior, senior at the time. And they heard about it, and the principal ended up pulling me in and was like, we heard people organizing. She's just on like a short-term leave for medical issue. We need you to let everyone know that they need to be in school on Monday. And I was like, sure, but that's always been me. If I knew or saw something was going on, I was charged to be in active mode, to get things done. But I thank my father for that, and I think too, it was a shame I had to go to college and HBCU to learn, but I never heard a woman like Ella Baker and Fannie Lou Hamer until I went to college at HBCU at South Carolina State University. And those women, are women who history tries to erase, but those women were so powerful.
Yes.
Most uneducated, they were sharecroppers, but they were not afraid to use their voice in the time where it could cost them their life. And for Fannie Lou Hamer, sometimes, they attempted to take her life, but it's standing up and recognizing that, either you be silent in the face of injustice and continue to be oppressed, or you stand up and you speak out and you use the power you have, because being a woman does not diminish the significance of the role that you play. Being a woman, speaking up, to injustices and standing up to be an activist is something that is so refreshing. We give life. Women are definitely the gateway here to many things, and so a notion that she cannot lead is the opposite. It was women who changed and shaped a lot of the progressive movements that we reap the benefits of today. And so we all stand on those shoulders and are grateful for those silent giants.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, cuz you want to add something in there, you can add something into it. If not, we then transition to another element. But yes.
Well, she said a mouthful, and I saw the question. I saw the question coming through. A young man was asking, "Why is that the women are taking lead?" And she pretty much answered that young man because women give birth. And cousin, going back to what you said earlier in the show, when you said, "You know what, I'm not going to be responsible for one thing. I'm gonna be responsible for multi facets of things." And that's how we just can do that. I mean, I'm here doing this show, and my son is at basketball practice, and my husband over there editing. So I'm actually multitasking right now. So we are capable of doing that, and we're not downplaying our males at all. It's just that I'm gonna use the stars and moons and the suns and the planet. We are from Venus, men are from Mars, and Venus mean I can be valued in a multiple and many things. I could do many things at one time. My mind can be thinking about one thing. I might be on the phone talking and I done planned a whole event. But my mind is thinking something. I'm talking to somebody else. But that's how women can do that. So that's the answer. Hopefully that'll help the young man that ask the question, why is it that women are taking more leadership and men are falling back? I won't say the men are falling back. I just believe that the women, now that their voices are being heard, they realize the gifts that they have when it comes to being able to multitask. So we just pushing it and moving and moving and grooving with it.
And I was going to throw this out here. That's when I talked about the poisoning, the pollution, the infiltration, the miseducation comes in place, because that was causing some men not to go and stand up to how they need to be, stand up to the place where they need to be. That is being right there next to that woman. And I'll throw it out there that we have the issue with the girls. We see strong women leaders here, and what some of them say to me, they say, but we don't have the men standing up to the plate. That people are allowed to attack us and come at us, but the black men are not standing up and saying anything and speaking out against it. And so, yes, that becomes a problem. It becomes absolutely problematic. But then you have somebody like Julius Hall who stands up and now speaks out on behalf of women, and then people get mad with that. I'm like saying, y'all are insane. You're not even understanding that you don't let anybody attack your women. And especially when they're in leadership positions, you don't let anybody attack them. And again, as the honorable councilman said, Fannie Lou Hamer, she dies. Again, one, she had a hysterectomy done to her that she knew nothing about that was done to her.
Nope.
And some people feel that again, and that the death that she experienced was tied to again to exposure of things. So I'm like saying, no, it is our job as men to stand up and be right there. Not to say that we gotta lead women, but to be right there on equal. We all fighting
Right.
together. That you got my back, I got your back, and we now fight for all of us. We cover our entire communities. And with that, I'm gonna say that's what we gotta do. We have to stop, and I'm throwing the solution out there also with what you said, cuz with regards to again, we men now have to understand we can no longer sit silent and think it's cool and think it's okay to be silent about it. We
Right.
have to stand up and speak out. That it should not just be you out there doing that. We should be there too, because that is the natural way. Now, I got that out the way. I want to throw something else up with regards to, and that's why I had said solution, and that's why I'm know what are your solutions that you all see individual solutions to address what we see happening with again with regards to our communities, be it Bluffton, be it Hilton Head, be it South Carolina, be it African American, be it the United States. What are some of the solutions that you all would give to people with regards to how they need to progress? Again, we know that it doesn't have to be the totality of it, but things that we need to be doing right now to advance ourselves and advance our communities.
I would say, one of the main things we have to do is we lost and we dropped the ball from the era of where we saw all of the change going on with the civil rights movement up until now. And one of it is the idea that we don't realize that politics is an active process. We believe that is just a momentary thing. We elect someone and we walk away like, okay, they were elected. They're going to bring all the change we need. We don't have to do nothing. And that's so far from the truth. They were elected, but they have to be held accountable. Like you have to hold the heat, to the fire the entire time they're there. With Dr. King and all the changes and stuff they were doing. If anyone watches the movie Selma, they kind of documented that. They went in and they sparked these fires in the communities, but it was always to be able to send a signal to those in leadership roles. And they would take those agendas back to the politicians like, hey, we need you to act on this. We need you to do this. We need you to fulfill this. If you're not going to do this, then we're going to go back and we're going to do this. And so it's being able to do that so the leadership understands that, hey, I do have to hold my word. I do have to, actually do something tangible to this community because, they are empowered. But we don't do that. And we look around and we see all these other communities, who are getting progress and who are being empowered. And one of the things that's missing is that they're playing a long game that we have not played. We have allowed people to come into our communities and brainwash us that voting doesn't matter and that, we don't have a power. Look at Georgia. If Stacey Abrams' group, and people think it was just, Stacey, but they were a grassroots machine. It was a grassroots machine, led majority by, women, but everyone got involved. But it was them recognizing that, hey, our power has the opportunity to swing the balances. And if we didn't get Georgia, a lot of what was passed here just initially with that last stimulus amount, with the rapid response to the vaccine that's going on and other things, we wouldn't have had that. But in our communities, we need to go back and understand that our power was in the ballot box. And we don't just need to put people in out of symbolic gesture. We need to put people in who actually going to do the work, for us, because we're here in America and the game has already been established. So we don't need to rewrite the rules. We can't rewrite the rules. We either learn the rules and we play the game, we strategize, and we beat, those who are trying to oppress us. But it starts there. So that's definitely a solution. And we don't have to just look to the federal level. We can look right here to the local level. There are people on the local level who've been able to pass measures like getting rid of cash bail that we know disproportionately affect, people of color and poor people. They commit a crime And unlike an affluent counterpart, they're going to be out the next day. But those without access to those means, they're going to sit there and they have to wait, and it's all because of money is that driving factor. That's something that you can do right there at the local level. If you see issues going on in your community in terms of policing, if your community is set up like Bluffton, well, you know that the police is an agency right under the leadership of the town manager and town council. How do you change how they police? Have a conversation, right there. So, that's the thing that I want us to be able to do. That's one of the things I've been pushing and educating here, with my generation getting those older, is let's start back with the game that we used to play. And that's politics, that's holding people accountable, and that's getting active. And voting does not end or change our agenda. It's the beginning of it, but the constant change is getting in the face of the people that we elect.
And I'll just
Absolutely.
piggyback off of that to, know who you have laboring amongst you. I'm not saying go out and stalk folks, but, look at their background and see
Mm,
what it is they've done in the
mm,
past to bring
mm,
the change.
mm,
And
mm.
then you definitely, you got to hold them to the course. You got to hold them and have them be accountable. They can't sit back and look pretty and cute. It's working time.
That's right.
The
And all
marketing,
all
the
skin folk
marketing.
ain't kin folk, like they
You
say now.
stop.
All right.
We ain't about to act
We
up on
keep it
cousin
real.
show,
We keep it
Bridget.
real. Mhm.
Marketing be looking nice, and the team be looking nice. Who talking for you? But it's that work. It's that work, and we have to hold them accountable. Accountability, and we cannot be afraid to speak what it is that we see that might not be lining up with what they said they was going to do. We
Yeah,
have to hold them accountable.
we do in our areas, um, Brother Torre right there in Savannah, Faquita Hilton Head, I mean in Bluffton, we have to adopt that philosophy more than anything else. We are all in areas that used to at one point be 80%, if not 100%, Black centered voices, Gullah voices, Native voices. We are now down to a fraction of that. And we still see in those areas where our people are still asking and fighting for basic rights, basic decency. So it's like, we have to be engaged. We have to get into politics. We have to hold leaders accountable and be able to ask questions because, that was one of my driving things for being elected too. I just think like, where will my people be 10 years from now? Where will we be, 15 years from now? And this whole idea where some people are just now understanding just how damaging systemic racism and stuff was to our areas.
Mm,
I always say that we're not asking anybody to give us handouts. We're asking for equity to be the driving force at the table. And equity just means that, if a certain group has benefited for so long off of systemic oppression and racism. Now is the time to actually be able to go in and identify those who've been damaged by that same system and give them what they need to be able to compete at the
at the
same
same
level.
level.
And because what we don't want is everyone uses our areas to tell the stories everybody romanticizes about the Gullah culture, and everyone wants shrimp and grits, and they want
Ah,
red rice and all this other stuff, but then you don't want to be able to elevate the people who you benefit from that. You benefit
Yes,
through that cultural richness, but look at it and understand that without that cultural richness, all you have are our stories, and we're more than that. We're trying to say, don't fall in love with us and our stories, fall all the way in love with us, and give us the type of equity that we need to be able to sustain our culture and be able to sustain our presence in these communities that we built, essentially.
absolutely.
I'm gonna say, yo. See, I do it my way. Bakita does it her way. Sister Bridget do it her way. But we all saying the same thing. We putting the same thing out there, and people act like it is so foreign when we say this type of stuff. That again, we are the foundation. So we are deserving of equity because we are the foundation. You can
Mm-hmm.
try to ignore it, but again, right? Again, it's not something somebody said about shrimp and grits, red rice. No, it's foundation, and that again, and we have been the power in this area. And again, and I'm so glad you made the connection. See, but people don't realize that Savannah, Southern South Carolina, that is this coastal part of Georgia has always been connected. We've always been connected. But we've allowed people to not separate us. And that way, you all have said, whatever's going on here in Savannah, y'all want to be right here and help and support. So, people who are listening from this area right here, the words that is being said by both of them are the very words that you've been hearing from people right here. But you all try to act like it's something foreign. And that's what I'm saying. I know by me traveling, going to other places, when I'm hearing the words, I'm like, we all on the same page. And right now, you got folks right now that I ain't had no conversation with them about them saying it. They just said it. And that politics is an active game, not one that you just sit back. That again, that you go to the table and sit down with whoever, with if it's all men or if it's all women, you sit there and you put your voice out there.
Yep.
But we tend to forget, and then we try to act like people who not talking like what they have just been sharing on this show today, act like it's something foreign, like it's something like that. There's something that just dropped out the sky. No, it's not. I guess I gotta go again and say maybe that's a South Carolina thing. Maybe that's how we function in South Carolina. Maybe that's what we feel it. But you know, we're winding down. But I also want people to understand that again, the Gullah marketplace that took place, one of the best events that was in 2020 in this entire region in Bluffton. The
Yes.
Gullah Marketplace, you all who were not there, you missed it. There were probably like 75 vendors there, business people right there, and that it was us right there. And they were getting those dollars. And some of us, the way we were functioning, I'm talking about other people, you didn't come there, you missed out. And even at one time, the Alphas from Savannah State came over and they did
Shut it
their
down.
and people are like, wow, again, they've been doing great work in the area. These are two of the leaders right here. And so now that's why I'm transitioning over. They're also business women. I want y'all to go ahead and share about your business ventures also, because it's important for people to know and then know how and tell people how they can contact you. We'll start with Faquita, and so to throw them out there. So she's doing some stuff. I've seen her on the streets of Savannah. Yeah, I'm
You
like, oh,
Business.
you almost had you a photo shoot, cousin. Yes, business is very important. It started with my grandmother. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. She did not finish middle school, but she was able to manage property. And my husband and I right now, we have an active growing photography business, looking into add some more things so that we can get talent involved in that. So Picture This Photography by Marvin is the name of the business, and we do portrait. We have a studio. We do family pictures. We do weddings. We specialize in weddings, and we come do your cameo shots at places like Gullah Market. And you can get us on Facebook. It's Picture This Photography by Marvin, or you can reach me. It's Faquita Aiken, and I'm on Facebook as well. And I can give my phone number here, cousin.
yeah, absolutely. That's what this is about. That's right. This is the
Phone
platform.
number 843-295-0099. And we travel, like he said, he saw us in Savannah, Georgia, doing a photo shoot. That's a skip, hop, and a jump right there. We are scheduled to go to Charleston. We have done weddings in Charlotte. We have done weddings in Sumter. I mean, we're moving. We are moving.
And yeah, doing the tour, bam, they write down like, wait, but what this is? So yeah, and and let me tell you, when they have the Gullah Market in Bluffton, I'm gonna tell you, talking about some slamming food. I ain't gonna say no more. They be having some slamming food. I'm just gonna turn over to our councilwoman now.
Yeah. So business I have same thing. My passion for cooking started in the kitchen with my grandmother, and it just continued, throughout my lifetime. And my father had the first mobile kitchen in Bluffton. He had the first concept of what was like a food truck back in 2005, and I think the first barbecue place too. And so I started a food truck in 2017, Chef Bees Eats, and you can find us on Facebook and Instagram with that. And Eats has a Z at the end. But we go to all areas. We do weddings, we do private events. You can find us popped up in Bluffton sometimes, right there on Buck Island Road, and we're definitely at all of the markets in the area. And one of the good things too about being in business is Faquita and I and her husband work very closely together. There are events that I've gone into, and I'm cooking the food, and Sis is there with the camera. And we encourage and we refer each other. Someone asked me about who's a good person to take videos or whatever else. I'm tagging her business there, and that's something else that we're missing. There's this idea that only one person can occupy space, and it's like, man, it's enough light out here for all of us. Like, it's enough for all of us to be able to shine. We can drive down the road right now, and see a Burger King, a McDonald's, and a Wendy's all in the same road, same space. So, I encourage anyone, to have a business that starts with an idea concept. Go ahead and see it through. And if you're out there, also reach back and make sure you're supporting other business owners. Keep Black businesses alive and active. That's the pillar to our communities, and we need them viable, active, and prosperous.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is why I love these sisters. This is why I love them. This is why they're family. That's why I enjoy it. And whenever they ask me if I can be there, I'm gonna be there for them because they have the same. We have the same blood. We have the same blood and the same mind, and that this is what makes us progressive people. And all I want right now for some of you who are listening right now, for the seeds to be planted, and what you heard from them, that now let the seeds be planted and let them get nurtured, so that now where we can spread this. Because again, like I said, I know I ain't no freak because see, I've grown up around them and their families. And so man, and they help make me who I am. And that's why we are successful when we come together as one. And Sister Sharon said, when we are united. And that's it. Sister Vanessa, she wanna make sure people know she a Frazier. She gotta make sure she put that out there. Vanessa Taylor. So she
Hey,
gotta make
we're
sure.
just doing things.
Yeah,
Yes.
she bluffed aside. Yeah, but that's it. And again, a nation can rise no higher than its women. And we got some great women right here. So we need to be rising and going along with them. And we're honored to have each one of you on Run Tell That. And so we're going to tell folks, make sure they run Tell That. So again, our people and support their businesses. You heard them? They're on Facebook and Instagram. Support them. Appreciate you all. Peace and blessing.
All
All
right,
right.
same to you, brother. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Love you.
Love you too.
All
Love
right, love
both of
y'all.
us. Yes,
All
yes,
right,
yes,
Bridgette.
yes.